Well, I've been kicked out of my nearest free bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired for my last job. Hot-wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Paid my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Good old boys, we're all the same. Ain't no way we'll ever change. Ain't no harm by the things we do, or the trouble that we get into. Other than a while, every once in a while.
One job this morning.
I had one job, which was to get us linked up to be on the Commander Cody cam, and I mean on the main camera here. And Cody was there. All right, Cody, hang on a second. You can wave. Wait, the wrong one. Here. You can wave.
That's Mr. Bill Cam.
There's Commander Cody. Yeah, Mr. Bill Cam.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Brent to my left, me to his right. I'm Ashley's Brent.
If we don't look right, don't adjust your sound.
It's us. It ain't you.
There you go. Is Judge Posey in?
A little flat.
Not the first one in. Ricky Champagne King, Mark Kurtz, Marvin Mickish Jr. Just had a birthday the other day. Did you know, Marvin's had a hard life. Did you know the guy's only 49 years old? I had him like 60. Right? 49 years old. Good dude. Good dude. Mark Zapata. How would you have said that? Zapata? Zapata. Like James Brown.
Like Zeppelin?
Right? Bobby Leister. Bobby Leister's all happy because he went ahead and called her yesterday.
Called up. Rena Scherer, good morning. Scott
That's the
Stone.
first lady that's in there. Rena, she's kind of our first lady of the show, Rena Scherer. Good morning, Calvin. I know you're having to overhear this in the other room.
Randy Langston, Linda Christ, BJ Nelson, Monty Howard, good morning. Lisa Poole, Amanda King.
See the ladies catch up. Greg Garcia, Tammy Keeling, good morning. Andrew Alvarez Campaign.
Greg going bilingual this morning.
Yeah, mi hermanos, his brothers.
Good morning to you, sir.
Reminds us, I don't think that we're live on Magic 95.9. I don't know what to do about it. I've contacted Magic, and the theme, the recurring theme is mañana. And mañana does not mean tomorrow in Spanish. Mañana
we are on. They're pulling the audio off of Facebook. So they've developed a workaround.
Because mañana means not today. That's what mañana means. I learned that during years in the Valley. Technically, it may translate as tomorrow, but I had buddies that would go, mañana. Like down the road, brother. We'll do it later.
It's like island time.
My Spanglish.
You ever get to Hawaii?
Yeah.
Later just means some point.
Not
now.
Just not now. Which is, yeah. Like this show's going to get interesting.
Yeah.
Mañana.
Yeah.
Just not right now.
Later.
Good morning, HR Mallory. We're big in the Corpus area. HR's taking over Corpus down there.
Blowing and going down there.
I think in Nueces County, I could probably get a warning as opposed to just a straight up citation. No.
Straight.
You think they're on the lookout for me?
Yeah. Well, how many burnt orange Broncos are there?
That's true. Not many, because it's certainly not a standard color.
No.
Wade
and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks.
Man, it's 51 degrees in Victoria, but it's heading to a high today of only 71. So let's see.
Is the wind going to be still
48? And by the way, the temperature has gone down. It was 51 when I got up. It was 50 when I got in the car. It's 48 now, heading to a high of 71. But sunny day. Look at nothing but sun.
I had to pull the covers up last night. It was a little chilly during the night.
Wow. Was it a 3-dog night?
No, just 2.
Just 2-dog night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. DOE, DOA. I like
that.
Yeah, that's good.
We want to go there right away?
We can do that.
Go there right away.
President announcing that today he's going to sign an executive order, his term shuttering the Department of Education. Department of Education was actually created by an act of Congress, and which 1976 Jimmy Carter era. It's not like it's been there forever. But he says he's going to, last week they announced they were cutting 50% of the workforce. And the move was upset. The union people got upset. Oh, they're going to be out of work.
Yeah. You know who the union leaders are worried about? Themselves, because that means that their dues will drop.
They have regional offices, Boston, Chicago, Cleveland, Dallas, New York, Philly, and San Francisco. They were all closed. And
the staff has been laid off.
But technically, or more than technically, I guess legally, since it was created by Congress, it has to be completely dismantled by Congress. This misnomer, students will suffer harm, I don't believe it at all. Get rid of the Department of Education, give the power and the money back to the states, and let the states handle their own education.
Well, but see, there's the problem. And if in my mind, if you're actually doing Doge things and trying to cut the spending, then why would you take the federal money that the DOA is giving out and just give it to the states?
Well, because
to get back to
the savings will be eliminating the office
all the
in
staff.
Philly, Boston, Dallas, San Francisco. You get rid of all that overhead.
Fair enough.
You know, if it's by the way, for example, let's just say that it's pick a number, $5 billion a year. But every one of those offices we just talked about, they're probably paying $40,000 a month in rent, like we've talked about here with our little bitty Social Security office paying $300,000 a year, which is senseless. Senseless. You should be able to do the Social Security office with 6 people. You need 3 people up front handling paperwork. None of those offices are efficient. None of them would ever be described as. I've never walked into a driver's license office that was worth a dang, except the one in Cuero. 2 people, no waiting.
Yeah, that's the irony of all this. Well, you're gonna hurt services. Services suck.
That's right. And it's kind of like the analogy bleeds over into public education. Oh, well, you're gonna do this. Well, you're not getting the job done anyway, so we might as well save the money. Yeah. By the way, Greg Garcia, this is a solid point. I couldn't agree more. The head of the teachers union was freaking out, which tells you this is a good move. 100% agree. Yeah. The key word, union. Unions in schools. I mean, come on. I mean, I get it. They need representation, the TEA, people like that. But, you know, I'm all for you pay some dues, and if you get sued, we'll defend you. I'm all for that.
Linda Chris said I had to get a new copy of my Social Security card. Was actually very surprised to find out that office is busy. Yeah, I've heard this one's busy, and I've heard they actually they do good work, but they must be the rare. No, our office here is a good office, but I mean, I guarantee you, they just don't even be paying $60,000 a year for rent. No, $300,000 a year for rent. Or $300,000.
But here's the deal: if you told those people over there, hey, we're going to give you a little less space, but it's only $5,000 a month, and we're going to take that other 20 and divide it among you folks, to a person, they would go, I'm in. They got a big old building over there, and there's no way. If every office is filled, they've got too many people. Yeah.
Wendy Hughes Garcia checking in. Jarrett McCrugan, good morning. Let's see who else is in that.
Randy Langston says, I've been getting lots of notifications on Facebook that say, save the Texas Lotto. Our veterans in schools depend on it. I can't say that the lottery didn't keep its word. That was the big deal, right? We need the lottery because then that money, that's like a voluntary tax, which is what it is. And what we'll do is we'll use that money to help fund our schools. I can't say that they never did such a thing, but I believe that money goes into the general fund now. I don't think that money goes to
and
schools.
They probably just make sure that every year, whatever millions of dollars that come from there.
And yet we have experts that have told us we haven't had an increase in any allotment to children since 2019. I mean, why not have a lottery every month for the schools? And this week's winner is Victoria ISD. They received $110 million.
Because then the same complaints that would happen with Powerball and Mega Millions. It's always someone in California or New York that wins. It's always someone in Dallas or Houston that gets the lottery on the schools.
Yeah.
That's what you'd hear.
You know, the teachers that are getting big raises are the ones in the rural districts because they're all trying to get teachers to stay in those small districts. So they're getting an extra 10 grand. Well, what about our teachers?
How about a student loan forgiveness program for teachers who go work in small rural school districts for like 7 years?
Right.
You stay for all 7. Not only will we pay you,
we'll pay off your student loan.
Your student loan will be done. I mean, if we're just going to give student loan forgiveness to everybody, why not? I mean, that would be the way to do it. Work it off.
In year 6, you'd get canned. Neener, ain't got to pay you. Neener. Yeah. You'd have to amortize it off over those 7 years based on a 7-year commitment. Otherwise, that would happen. Some superintendent, look, Billy's pretty close to getting that big check. Let's cut that out. Bye, Billy. I don't know.
I'm trying to think the particulars and how if it were something like that could even.
I love it when you said these panacea, just these solutions to everything. Like it's like me. Your deal's always about money, and my deal's always about like, well, just nuke them, get it over with, nuke them.
No, it solves 2 problems in my opinion. You get teachers into rural districts, and then the student loan forgiveness that they're all complaining about would go away.
It's like Iran, just nuke them. Yeah, you get rid of all the Iranians, and we get the oil. There, nuke them. Solve them. Problem solved. Can you drill through glass? Because when you drop a nuke, all that silica is going to turn to glass.
Oof, radioactive oil? I don't know. How does that
great work? Imagine the mileage you'd get. Nuclear.
Why don't we drop a mother of all bombs on the Houthis in Yemen?
I don't know. I think I've heard some conservative outrage about Trump's bombing of Yemen. And I don't know if that continued yesterday. I don't know
either. This is Randy Gutenberg checking in. Gutenberger, he's going to join us here in a little bit.
We're going to let him in?
Yeah, we might as well. Bottom of the hour, I think. Randy Langston says places used to do that. Send you to trade school or something, and you had a contract to them for X term. Always a good idea if you get good talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised more companies don't try to do that. I've heard
the military does it.
HR says basically the GI Bill for teachers, and I know some veterinarians that do that as well. They'll pay for a vet student to go to school, somebody who's worked in their office, as long as they come back and work for them. I think that's genius.
Well, my son-in-law went to Texas A&M.
Whoop!
And
sorry.
Thank you. You're a little late. Let's try it again. My son-in-law went to Texas A&M.
Whoop!
And
it was a little quick that time.
Got out and accepted his commission and is in the Army. And he went to physical therapist school for 2 years in South Carolina and accrued $80,000 worth of student loan debt. And he paid for all this himself, if you will. And he got stationed in Tacoma, Washington. And after like his first year there, they came to him and said, look, if you owe us still 3 more years, if you'll make it 5, we'll pay off your student debt. He said, sold. So 1 year they wrote a check for 40 grand to his student debt. The next year, he's not taxed on it.
Yep.
It was a genius move to pick up an extra 80K. Now he's debt free. And that's the way the government solved that problem. And I think it's great. And it's interesting. And I'm curious what you folks think. And you too, by the way, since you're right here. We have no problem with that for our military people. Everybody goes, that's a good idea. Let's pay off his debt. Do you feel the same way about a school teacher? Do you? I think that we have a natural, an ism, like not a racism, but a skepticism. There's an ism in there. I don't know what you call it, where we expect our school teachers that's a labor of love. They just care about the children. It's not. It's how they pay their bills.
Yeah.
It's how they pay their bills. And thank God that so many, predominantly women at the elementary and even junior high levels, care enough to spend their time and give their gifts to little children. I think it's an amazing, my mother was a lifelong educator, but nobody paid her school bills except her and my dad. So I don't know how can you reconcile that? That said, because we do it with cops, right? We pay for them we pay them and then pay off their.
Didn't cost your mom $100,000 a year to
That's
get
true.
Underwater basket weaving degree.
That's right.
And then go teach.
And it should not now. The only reason it costs $100,000 a year now is because of student loans. Because as the student loan
certainly factors into a lot of it.
Yes. Well, yeah, I mean, the schools charge what they charge because they're milking it out of the government. I need $50,000 for books and tuition. There it goes, straight from the government. Well, and they don't care because they're making you pay it for the rest of your life.
And that is one of the concerns with the voucher system that's been proposed and probably likely to pass in Texas, is that private schools are just going to up their tuition by $10,000. So they'll make 10 and technically make 20 because you're now paying $10,000 to them from the state. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Would you be in favor of some type of legislation that prevented that from happening? And if you do that, since the private school is kind of part of an unfettered free market, are you doing something to limit the marketplace?
I don't know how you'd police it, but that is one concern that's been raised on that.
I figured you would have another panacea, like, well, here's what you do. I figured,
I think what happens, well, I mean, if supply and demand, I think what will happen is any schools that do that, all of a sudden, I'm just throwing numbers out there, they're charging 20 a year, and all of a sudden the next year it goes to 30.
All you have to do with the vouchers is say these vouchers are only good for face-to-face teaching. You can't create
an online
school and use the voucher. Now, you want to do that, Mom? If you're that lazy, you're going to shove your kid in a room and give them a laptop and say, here, Billy, let me know when your next test is. Nah, we're not doing that.
So the same thing parents do today?
Well, that's what they do today, which, by the way, is why our schools get blamed for the result, and it's not necessarily the schools. It's certainly not the teachers.
I'm wondering if in hindsight, now that studies are starting to show that all this screen time really isn't good for kids.
Oh, it's coming.
If providing them with iPads and tablets at certain schools hasn't been detrimental.
Absolutely. Peter McNally, who does know education, says much opposition to vouchers might not make it. I'd be curious where Peter is on that. I don't know if vouchers are viewed as a conservative position. I know they're Governor Abbott's position, but I don't know if that's how they're viewed. I also know that the business of education, the business side, the building of schools, the furnishing of schools, the providing of curriculum is a huge money enterprise. Huge money. 90-something billion. We saw it in Salina, a town with 5,500 students, and a $2 billion bond floated. Good morning, Torrin Bales.
HR says, great idea, especially for rural and inner city schools, but you have to do a little more to keep them happy and safe because they could decide to walk and pay it off due to poor administration or unsafe working conditions.
Because they're listening. Yeah, no kidding.
Yep.
The other side of that is it seems like these smaller districts are the ones that have a grip on classroom discipline and have a grip on, we're going to do it our way. I've never understood why. Well, I do. I know now why. Never understood why the public schools didn't act more like the private sector. And it's because the state, you've got to educate that kid.
Yeah, I do agree, and that's the one hang up I have with vouchers, Micah, is that
I agree with Micah Patton on that.
Is it is going to create more government growth. Yeah. That's my concern.
Speaking of government growth, something that you probably didn't hear about on the Main Street media, Donald Trump yesterday, there was a photo of Trump with, for all of his faults, I do believe that he's sincere about his faith. And although just like so many of us, myself included, he doesn't necessarily walk the talk all the time, but he had a group of ministers around him, Christian ministers around him, and they were having a moment of prayer in his office. And Trump, and I agree with you, I think he did re-announce, because I think he had something similar in his first administration, but the Office of Faith. And these folks are an organized group of leaders of different religions. And Trump expressed a desire to run legislation and things past them to make sure that his administration wasn't doing anything detrimental to faith-based organizations. Yeah, I thought that was, and you won't hear that in the media because, you know, that's actually like a humble, intelligent thing to do. So you won't hear that because they're not going to tell you that because that's him.
Take a break.
Let's take a break and we'll get our guest in here, which is always fun. Always fun. Folks, Dollar Floor Store. If you haven't been in, if you got, we have a room right now. Dawn and I have a room. It's not but about 10 by 12. Dawn uses it as an office. It's got some carpet in there that's been in there for a long time. And I'm about to rip it up and have them come in and the folks at Dollar Floor Store come in and put down some vinyl plank flooring for me. It's easy. It's inexpensive. It's cheaper than when you think of all the time that even if it's with a robot, all the time you spend vacuuming and, you know, every time the puppy walks in there, you're scared to death. No, you can only use so much Febreze. Sooner or later, you need some vinyl plank flooring. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. Get by Palace Bingo. You'll just walk in. You can walk in mid-game, get a computer, go sit down, have a cheeseburger, do it at lunch. You might win $500.
And if you show up during intermission, I think it's even cheaper to play the second half. So there you
absolutely. Go. USA Concrete Coatings, sand it, seal it, stain it, paint it. Tough as nails polyurethane coat for the garage. Won't crack, stick, peel, or fade. Get a hold of them. 578-HOME. You want to spruce up your home? That'll do it. Spring is a great time to do it. Veracruz Restaurant for the best, absolute best Mexican food in town. The best queso, the best guacamole, the best hot sauce, homemade chips, homemade tortillas. Get into Veracruz for authentic Jalisco style Mexican fare. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300.
Chicken fried steaks, Jalisco style?
Absolutely. You can put the ranchero sauce on it.
True.
Get in there. Can you imagine chicken fried steak covered in hot sauce and queso? Come on.
Queso and pico would be so good.
I'd have to use it as a pillow. Dawn wouldn't let me eat that. And then the chopping block. Today, food trailer. I don't know what's on the food trailer today, but I guarantee you it's good. Smoked
Get
meats.
the commander on that.
Absolutely. Commander, can you bring up chopping block? Your mic is hot.
Look on Facebook. Let us know what is on the menu today.
I'll tell you that they had hanger steak on for like $9.99 a pound.
I bet you they still do.
And we cooked that like fajita meat, and it is more tender and tastes more like steak than fajita meat.
Yeah.
It is good. And then White Trash Site Services, was it you that told me?
Yeah, I saw they are busy helping out with the Citizens Medical Center remodel.
There you go. That's White Trash Site Services. They're out there demolishing, if you will, that old building.
Yes, all right. So we got loaded baked potatoes on the food trailer, and it's going to have baked potato topped with your choice of brisket, sausage, turkey, or boudin.
Yes.
Cheese, butter, sour cream, cheese sauce, and our signature Q sauce.
Nice. And their boudin is so good.
Their boudin, and it's all fresh. You know, that's one thing about it. When you go to the chopping block, they grind their own hamburger meat. So you can have, for example, ribeye burgers for $4 a piece, probably roughly $12 a pound, but it's, you know, they're probably a third of a pound each. And then, or you can have, they have brisket burgers. They have what they call 80-20, just the regular ground beef, but it's ground chuck and it's 80-20. Makes a great flat griddle burger. You get a little bit of grease out of that fat. Just a phenomenal. The food there, the beef and the fare is just
so good.
Incredible. Yes. Get by there today.
So a couple of weird stories, but cereal sales not looking good in the first quarter of this year.
Really?
Down. General Mills says their sales are down 1.5 to 2% after they forecast a flat year. So that's not good. I don't know what. I don't really.
You wonder if people are waking up to the fact that I don't care what cereal, you go pick up some Raisin Bran. The number 2 ingredient is always sugar.
Yeah,
it's if you care about what you eat.
Yeah.
Filet de pollo frito. What is Monty Howard talking about? Like a Frito pie with chicken?
Maybe fried chicken. That's chicken fried steak, maybe. Ooh. Yeah. We become bilingual. And then the other one, instead of focusing on the astronauts returning safely home because SpaceX went and did a job, the media was going goo goo gaga over a bunch of curious dolphins that swam around their capsule when it splashed down.
People who have never been offshore. Oh, filet de pollo frito, chicken fried steak. Thanks, Monty.
I just said that.
I didn't know that a
you didn't know I could speak Spanish?
I didn't know that a guy named Montgomery Howard was going to be a Spanish.
That's 3 languages.
There he goes. He looked it up.
Canadian, English, and Spanish.
Right. It's not easy to speak Canadian. Hey, you got to say, sorry. Yeah. Should we bring our guest on?
If he's available. All right. We'll see. There he is.
Let's do I need to do something?
I don't know. I don't think you need to do anything. I think I need to do that and make sure this works.
Good morning.
Good morning, Randy.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Okay. Let me. Okay. I never know. I didn't know which one it was. And I think it's.
This is why we can't have nice things. This is exactly what we can't have.
There we go. All right. Let's try.
Although the segment could be better if we just maybe read Randy's lips and he didn't actually say much.
So you can't hear me yet. We're back to waving.
I can hear you, but I don't hear you. Can you listen to him over there, Cody?
Yes.
I mean, you can hear him.
Why can't we? This one, maybe?
Good morning.
Oh, I thought I heard something.
I thought I heard some guttural. There it was. He was clearing his throat.
Maybe it works, right?
Okay. All right. Now I know which one it is.
For those of you listening,
the bottom one.
For those of you listening on Magic, we're joined by Randy Gutenberger, who's a great friend of the show and an author and a fantastic lecturer, an educator. And to set the scene for you, he's actually sitting on the toilet in his bathroom having this conversation with us. So it's just trying to give you a feeling. How about a courtesy flush there, Randy?
I like what he's.
This is my little studio.
I like how he's papered the walls of the outhouse with his book cover,
his awards and his Emmys, and his New York Times bestseller plaque.
Do I need to give the room to show?
No, we don't want to see you on the
toilet. Man, that's a fancy toilet.
Next time I'll have the roll of toilet paper right next to me.
That's fantastic. Right, managing our sarcastic selves. It's the waiting.
That's a good book. How about that?
It's a good one. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How is Victoria on spring break?
Anticipatory. We're all waiting for the 24th when you're going to be in town, 5:30 to 8:30 at the Walker Auditorium in the North Building at UHV.
Right.
And everybody's invited. It's free. You just bring a friend, bring your coworkers.
Bring anybody and everybody. This is great, valuable information you'll use the rest of your life. It's not just me talking. It's not a seminar. It's a workshop. You're going to be doing things to learn about your own brain, your own personality, and how to communicate better. And it's innovative package of content that you're not going to get anywhere else.
And you do want people to sign up. I know I've created an event on our Wade and Carter Facebook page for people to sign up. How is the demand, the signups going? You've seen a surge as we get closer?
Yeah, when you put it up at the school, at the college there, they got quite a few. And I sent out a whole bunch yesterday to the chamber, churches, ministers, and so forth. So we'll see how that gets spread out over spring break.
Fantastic. If you send it to the chamber, then BJ Nelson got it. And I still have BJ's copy of the book right here in the office.
Well, I sent it to info, so you never know if someone's going to read that this week or not, right?
Yeah.
Didn't have a direct name.
Jeff Lyon, if you're listening, check your info mailbox.
Yeah, and BJ, make sure they check the info mailbox. That'd be a great thing for the chamber to send out. It's a free,
and it's free. It's not
free lecture.
I mean,
Randy's
not
more
making any money off
fun.
this thing.
It'll be more fun if there's more people there.
Yes, and is the name John Turner at the police community relations guy? He's looking into it. One of my contacts there, Julie, contacted them, so we're trying to get the word out to everybody.
Junior Sample says he's afraid of his own personality.
Mark Zapata says he's got his ticket, so he'll be there.
Well, tell him he's the last to know.
Right. He has several personalities.
We all are the last to know. Everybody else already knows about us.
He identifies as Sybil. That's a good question for you. Have you ever known anybody who genuinely had a mental condition where they had true, legitimate, multiple personalities?
Are we talking about Junior still?
No, I'm asking Randy. Okay. Have you ever had anybody that you said, yeah, this is legit. I mean, this person goes off into another world and all of a sudden they've got a different personality completely.
Yeah, there's coping mechanisms that people build to survive. It's an instinct to do that. I'll give you a crazy story. One principal in Alabama said, I was working there. He said, I got a teenage girl. She's tranny, but her tranny's gay. He said, how does that work? I said, well, I don't really deal with the sexual genders and that kind of stuff because we deal with the mental stuff. And then if they want to, we'll go there. I said, but all she's done is create a barrier. She still likes guys, but if the guy rejects her, he's rejecting her gay tranny instead of her.
Right. No, I think that if I were to identify as a woman, I would clearly be a lesbian. I'm fairly certain that's the case. H.R. Mallory says it's actually the Carter Auditorium at Texas A&M Victoria that through my 3 kids, I've paid enough to A&M to have a room named after me. Yeah.
Yeah, but those aren't donations.
Yeah.
I was working with some counselors one time. I said, I would love to work with the personality disorders, someone that's, got that, because I think I could help them. He goes, Randy, you couldn't do that. I said, yeah, I would. I would ask him which one's driving.
Right. Well, it's solid. But like you said, until you deal with your original wound or whatever it is, you don't know. I think anybody, if you're self-aware enough to say, in my darkest moments, I've got some issues just with how I cope with things, how we lash out at our spouse, or how we deal with people, how we shut down.
We are all abnormal. That is what normal is. And it's because the brain does it before we consciously start to reason around age 7 or 8. So we're coping with the internal struggles that are subconscious. We don't even know what they are. And we project them into our relationships with our spouses, with our kids, and they know it. They don't know what it is. And then their kids then pass it to the next generation. It's a very big cyclical thing. And it's wonderful to get out of that loop and just be your peaceful self.
How have you seen it transform families who've managed to somewhat break that cycle?
There's too many stories. We could have a long show on that one.
The Cliff Notes version, if you must.
Right?
To be honest, it's great when the person gets it, but they need help knowing how. And that's why I do what I do. You can tell them all day long. That doesn't mean they experienced it. And once they get it, then they got to do it 2 days later after you slept twice, because you know what happens when you sleep and you go through your REM cycles, you clear your cookies.
Right. That makes sense.
True story. Yeah.
So then you have to relearn it again, kind of a thing. So, the more you do it, the better you get at it. Like anything, like speaking a language, learning a new instrument or whatever, learning to be a healthy, peaceful you, it's in there. You're wired for it. You got to learn how. And it's like learning another language in a way.
Speaking of multiple personalities, our buddy Brian Small up in the Hurst, Euless, Bedford area, he has multiple personalities. They're all acerbic and sarcastic. But he says, what's the best way to cope with this show? That stings. That's
he writes in the book, The Sarcastic Crazy, right?
I would give him a copy of the book, and I'd get it back in 3 days, FedEx, with a bunch of notes in the margin. This is you, Carter. This is you, Carter. This is you, Carter.
We just need to give him the pictures and let him make some posters out of it. So.
There you go.
He would be good at that. So give us the details again. It's 5:30 Monday night. Well, I'm giving them to you, but
Let's see what.
Yeah.
Let's see if you remember this. 5:30 Monday night till 8:30. It's free. It's free.
Yeah, we want you to register, and I guess y'all have the link somewhere there you can post, or I need to
And
send it.
I just posted it in the comments today.
So we want you to register so we know how many handouts and things to prepare for. We don't want to have somebody not have them. I could bring my printer and we could print them on the spot, but
is it one of those where people are going to be are people going to be a little worried to share something, or do they not have to share
you will not have to divulge anything to anyone in the room.
So it's just you being self-aware, being honest with yourself.
We have worksheets, and most of it's fun anyway. The only part we do the core wound. You're doing a chart that we fill out, and the chart talks. You don't tell me, I don't tell you. The chart reveals it, and you can't tell me. That's why we designed this chart. It's a little diagram, and when you go through it, it's amazing. And we've done it with counselors in multiple states, students, parents, corporate. It works every time. It's just an amazing exercise that is so healing. So no, you don't. We tell people when they're sitting next to each other, if you don't want the other person to know, just move over one. Don't let them see your paper.
How about managing your incarcerated self? Can you imagine how many people who aren't in prison long term, they're just being detained a little while? How many people could benefit from saying, you know what, I've got to stop this cycle of madness in my life?
Well, if you think about it practically, we all put on a different hat when we go to church, go to a ball game, drive a car, come on a talk show,
right?
Go hang out with our friends, go to work. We shift all the time. It's very seldom are we the same person in every scenario. So the key is to know the true inner self, and we show you the blueprint of how you're wired, and that teaches you what's right about you. And that's what people aren't getting, because the world and the media want you to be a victim and react to your emotions, and it's not required.
You know where I see that so often, and I think my mom's listening, and I hope she's listening, but I've got friends and acquaintances and just people that I've been around through the years that their natural tendency, without even thinking about it, they just cuss like sailors. Mm-hmm. It's just like unbelievable. But my mother can walk in the room and it never happens. Mm-hmm. It's like your brain disengage, like it just, your brain says respect, you know, lady in the room, respect. And I use my mother as an example because I've had people that I've taken to our home when I was younger going, man, I hope he doesn't drop these F-bombs in front of my mom. And it never happens. I've never had to say, hey, watch your mouth in front of my mom, ever. You know, and it's so, you know, your brain disengages. Back to coping with the show. Tammy Keeling said that was a great question. Wendy Garcia says a couple of shots of Bailey's in your coffee.
Well, we have so many coping mechanisms, and some are damaging, some are addictive, right? Drugs and gambling and sex and whatever we do, those bad habits are masking the real internal blind problem that's very solvable. And when you marry someone, you don't usually marry their coping mechanism. You saw something in that person that was genuine. That's what you want. Or you projected it from your wound, what you didn't get as a child. That's the complex part of it. And later you realize that person's never going to become what you wanted. And so now that's when the marriage really starts. That's called the imago, the image of what you think your mate's going to be to meet your wound, and it's not required.
You know, one of the big issues with marriage is men marry a woman hoping she never changes. And women marry a man going, he's going to be great when I get him whipped into shape.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of fun stuff to deal with the men and the women differences and how they view the world. I love talking about that one.
That's a different workshop.
That's a different workshop.
Yeah, and I'll tell you,
registered, has her tickets.
You got to be very careful. I think, Brent, you'll love this one. You know, guys, we're raised criticized all the time. You got to do this, do that, you know, like football, get in there, dadgummit, hit, you know, you're not doing the right job, sit on the bench, get back in there, you're in the game. They chew you out, they do game film and show you everything you did wrong. And you said, I thought we won the game, right?
Right.
When I do the male-female workshops, I have to be very, very careful how I say things about the women, because if you get a group of women that hear something, maybe not even that I said, but they feel is wrong, you can't bring them back in that room. They're gone.
You lose them, right? Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a very delicate presentation, and I have dozens and dozens and dozens of female counselors or coaches, whatever, out there saying the things I say or close, and they can say it because they're female. The guys, you know, you got to hit us with a 2 before, because generally men.
Yeah, and if you say it, you're mansplaining.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's easy for you to say you've never given birth. It is funny how, as dads, we spend our time saying, be kind, share, don't, you know, and then in 7th grade, we put them in football pads, hit him. And then in baseball, steal. I mean, you know, it's the mixed signals to an undeveloped brain are incredible.
And it's, you know, people get mad about all these baseball stealing things. Baseball is a game that's taught. If you're not stealing something, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, you ain't competing, right? Don't show me that you want the curveball, because I'm going to tell my batter, hey, he's throwing the curveball right here.
Right. You know, leading off, what's the pitcher's move? Who's doing what in what situation? You're shifting fielders. You have to do that to be competitive.
Absolutely.
It's a one place you're supposed to do it. They didn't maybe supposed to use technology, but I talked about that one a long time ago, because it didn't even help the Astros back then. It was so funny. To me, it was comical, because baseball players are neurotic. They do the same thing every day, half a year. You try that. I mean, you create these little funny twerks of what you got to do.
No doubt. You know, Wade Boggs was notorious for eating fried chicken before every game. Yep. You had guys where our own at the time
with all his every stuff. Can you imagine?
And
they don't wash their socks. They walk different ways around the batter's box. I mean, they don't
so many crazy.
Every pitch when Tucker would wipe the dirt on his hands, he'd get on base and he'd stretch his arm, you know, and it got to where he was very smart guy.
All of that is about learning to cope with what your brain's doing. Even Terry Poole, when I worked with his family years ago, he said, Randy, I think you should work with baseball coaches and getting batters out of slumps. I think you'd be great at that. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Junior Simple says he's rearranging chairs on the Titanic. I imagine Junior will be there. And if you need like a ventriloquist dummy type, dummy being the operative, you can put him up there and go, you can make him your straw man. You know, you could be a complete lunatic, like my friend Junior here. You can do
Brett,
that.
I don't know if we have your personality, but I can bring a big flip chart or PowerPoint and put yours up there. We can talk about you, and that might be a good draw.
I think that would be fun. And you know what? I'm that transparent. You know, if it shows that I'm somewhat neurotic, that would be okay. I think I've got some issues. We've talked enough offline. You know my issues. Yeah.
You're no different offline.
True.
He's one of the few that doesn't show much difference in the various situations.
He's like, the first time I met Brent, we sat down in Houston at a restaurant, and I forgot what we ordered, but I ordered something different. I think you ordered a salad, and I ordered something fun. And you go, how come he gets the Happy Meal and I get a salad? And I went, okay, now we know where we're going.
Yeah, no, that is true. I think at that time I was on a salad kick. Now all I eat is meat.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I think Randy's making this up. I've never seen Brent eat a salad, let alone order one.
I sleep in bed with a club.
He was not happy that I was not eating a salad. I'll tell you that.
Dawn is tired of being drugged to the bedroom by her hair. I mean, I'm a caveman. I am literally a caveman. I'm wearing a full.
Then when you don't do it, she'll go, "How come? What's wrong?"
Right. I'm wearing a Fetterman this morning with a hoodie, and I'm ready to go vote in the Senate. But below, I either typically wear a kilt or some type of loincloth because I'm a caveman.
That's where we are.
Well, we really want people to bring friends. This is a more fun event if you have friends and family, but also bring your ministers, your staff, your teachers, counselors, nonprofit organizations, first responders, businessmen. This works CEO on down. It's not just for a certain niche in the market. It's just for everyone in the market. Even high school kids could come.
Is it fair to say that if you bring a friend that you know well, that there'll be a lot of times during the presentation where you'll look at them and go, yeah, that's you.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's you.
And there's a one-on-one coaching that people learn from, but the social dynamic of group therapy is a real thing, because when other people see a statement about you and you deny it and they go, oh no, let me tell you when. Let me tell you how many times, you get called out right there and you go, oh, I guess I do it, because you're filtering internally, but they know.
Yeah.
Makes it a lot more fun.
Like that time we had that, intervention for Ash. I mean, he's like, what? $20 here? Is somebody got a keg? No, Ash, that's what we want to talk to you about.
Exactly.
But we're looking forward to it, Randy, and I'm planning on
Next, let me pitch it again, and if it goes well, I know that those that do come will probably want to tell others. We may have to come back and do it again, because we can't reach all of Victoria in one night, I'm sure.
No,
that'll be the goal. Bring it back.
That'd be awesome. We want you to come back. So that's next Monday, the 24th, 5:30 to 8:30, Walker Auditorium, UHV campus, North Building. Free parking, free event. Bring
free
your
restrooms.
Friends. Free restrooms. There'll be a guy in there. You can tip him, get some polo. Come on back.
The link is in the comment, but it's also on our Wade and Carter Facebook page.
Yeah, I highly recommend this. Randy is just as exciting. It's not. I've done it. I've been in your psychology classes at UHV, and
and we did a restaurant somewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the time will fly by.
Stephanie Show asks, "Is there a flyer for this?" I put the links up in the comments, Stephanie, and our Facebook page does have a bigger link to the.
And if you click on the link, you'll get to read about it. It's got some stuff there. If you want information, just call me. It's 281-703-6782.
281-703-6782. 6782.
There we go.
There you go. Put RG out to the side so they know who that is.
It's great for couples, whether you're dating, married, going in a divorce, or have been through a divorce. This stuff's healing.
Well, I tell you what, if you're just dating, you might find out something you need to know before you decide to get married.
Big time. Big time.
Absolutely. Randy Langston says, as someone with ADD, this show is stressful. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Thank you, Randy.
Junior Sandwich says he just gave me his phone number. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, you ought to call him, Junior. He needs to deal with you.
Yeah, he might not have enough time between now and Monday to fix you.
Well, Randolph, we'll let you go today, but we're looking forward to it, man.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Randy.
Have a great weekend, my friend. Thank you, buddy. There you go. That was Randy Gutenberger, just a great guy, and I promise you, I will vouch for this. I know you've talked to him offline some too, and I'll vouch for this being a wonderful program that I can't wait to be a part of. Why don't you take us through a break?
I can take you through a break. Where are we starting? Atzenoffer. We haven't talked about Atzenoffer yet.
No, we haven't.
No, we haven't.
What do you know about them?
I know they've got a beautiful Z71 Silverado there, 2.9% financing. Go check it out. Dark gray.
74 years you can pay for that truck.
74 months, maybe.
Yeah.
But no, awesome looking truck. They got lots of trucks right now. It's basically the time of year. If you want a truck, Atzenoffer's where you need to go. They've got also trucks for your businesses.
They got lots of white trucks.
You're an electrician. You need a new truck with a box to carry all your tools and parts. They've got you covered.
There you go.
They're
Brand
really
us. Let Brand us help you with your brand. You need a Facebook page. You need an internet website. Cody can build those things in his sleep. In fact, he does it in his sleep. Reach out to Brand Us here on Facebook and let him help you. Cheswick Furniture. For over 100 years, Bobby Leon's family have been serving you and yours, a direct lineage back to when there was no downtown Victoria. It was just Victoria.
116 West Swan Lynn. They've been there for 80 years.
Corner of Wan Lynn and Bridge. Cheswick and Love makes your house a home. Get by and see why you just always do better at Cheswick.
Always.
Went for your generator needs. If you don't have a Generac American made in Wisconsin, please help Ilhan Omar.
I talked to somebody the other day who went and bought one at a big box store and then had to do all the subbing themselves.
And you've got no recourse. Did the plumber mess it up? Did the electrician mess it up? Did the trencher mess it up?
And it took them almost 6 months to get it finally installed and working. They missed all of hurricane season last
that's
year as
dumb.
a result. Give Went a call.
Turnkey
Start
generator
to
service.
finish. They'll get it done.
Absolutely. Paravita Wellness. Get in and get healthy. Vita Cafe opening in the next couple of days. You're going to get in new. No, it's not opening the next couple of days.
Not next couple of days. Probably next couple of weeks.
Anticipation. Soon. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be terrific. Paravita Wellness open now. Get by and pick up meals, pre-made meals. You can order meals. They make pizzas, do all kinds of stuff.
I don't think they're making pizzas right now. That's going to happen at the
you
Vita
order
Cafe.
55 of them, I bet you they will. Yeah. Get by there and see Erica Briggs for all your dietary needs. First State Bank of Louise, Astros update.
Lost to the Mets yesterday, but big deals.
Yeah, but Cam Smith hit a dinger, I think. I think I would put Cam Smith in left. Jose Altuve, folks, this experiment in left field, it just shows you that Major League ball players are Major League ball players. Jose Altuve is a wreck in left field. The other day I saw him.
He's played second base his whole life.
Well, and he's diminutive. And when you're covering that much space, I saw him literally overrun a Yordan Alvarez routine fly ball. No issue whatsoever, jogging up and catching this ball. And he's running and his little legs, he's just chugging along. And all of a sudden he looks back to his left and the ball hit the ground. And I'm like, dude, you're a Major League ball player.
Maybe he needs glasses.
I don't know. I can tell you that
depth perception.
The reality is his defense at second base has really languished. So,
but it can't be it's got to be better than what we're seeing in left field. He's not getting errors in left because he's just not making.
Yeah, I'd put Dubon at second and just roll on and put Alvarez back out on left.
And DH Altuve?
Yeah, let him bat as DH leading off. He's 30-something years old. We talked about this a while back that he's being overpaid.
We talked about it when they re-signed him.
Randy
to that
Gutenberger
big deal.
Coming in with the facts. Jose Cruz used to overrun fly balls, but he was Jose Cruz and he played till he was like 73 years old.
He still looks the same.
He still looks the same without surgery.
Absolutely, he does. Let's see what else we're going to talk about today, just to see if there's anything else. So Volodymyr Zelensky agrees to not blow up any Russian energy infrastructure as long as Vlad Putin and Russia agree to the same. So it looks like we might have a sort of peace deal.
Sort of. In theory.
Yeah. You perused some of the JFK stuff yesterday, and I did too. And all that it seems to me is it's raising way more questions than any answers that will ever come from the documents. The ones that I've seen seem to tell me one thing. The CIA, the Soviet Union, the mafia, other countries wanted JFK dead.
I think that's true. They all had motivation for him to be dead. And I think a lot of the documents that I read, by the way, there's maybe 20 on a page, and I went through 8 pages. I mean, I read almost 200 of these documents yesterday, just perusing. I think one of the reasons so many of them were held was not for their content, but because there's routing slips and there were names of key CIA informants and operatives and all that. Please distribute this too. And it would be like a list of 45 people. Well, they were all CIA people, and they did not want that list out in the public. No. So that's a big chunk of it. There was some talk of, there was some talk about authors. What's the guy's name? Mark? Is it Lane? There was a book called Rush to Judgment, and the author, they talked about, this guy's like, he's a ne'er-do-well. He's putting out stuff counter to the Warren Commission. And they didn't want that to get out. That gentleman is still alive, and they didn't want that to get out. But there are, they talk about managing certain articles that are in the press. Never, they said you need to discredit this all you can, but never say anything negative about the author. There is some of that out there, but I think that's just damage control, and I think that happens in a lot of instances. But
and I think Kathleen Liner hits on something that also seems apparent from some of the things I've read, is that JFK was, even though he was a Democrat, he was trying to purge the government of the bureaucrats and outside influences, like Donald Trump is doing.
I'll scatter the CIA from sea to sea. And the CIA was just getting more and more powerful. As you know, USAID implemented under JFK to spread information and disinformation about other governments and other ways of life. And
I don't think that was his intent. That was their intent.
Yeah, and they were like, "Hey, that's fine." Yeah, no, you're exactly right. He wanted to give humanitarian aid, and the CIA had people applying for those positions.
Well, because he was mistaken that if we give them money, they'll be our friends.
Yeah, which is just the Democrat way of doing everything, right? We'll give them money and they'll vote for us.
Yeah. But it's been
as opposed to Trump, who says, "I'll take away the money and they'll appreciate us."
Yeah,
that ain't going to happen either.
No, but one thing this has done is not provide any sort of answers to anything that I think people thought.
Do you think it's fair that everything you read enhances the idea that there could have been a conspiracy? It does not in any way make you feel like it was one lone nut job, nor do I think that Lee Harvey Oswald was just one. He was a well-known, I read an article that said that a Russian high up in the KGB guy had intimated that Lee Harvey Oswald was never a recognized agent of Russia, but essentially he said we sure kept a close eye on him because he was a loose cannon at a time when loose cannons were scary.
And I don't know that he was not a manufactured loose cannon. It was weird with him, but there are some documents I saw yesterday that were dated like 1959, and he was already on the CIA's radar.
Yeah, I read a lot about
5 years before this happened.
Jim Garrison and the trials of Ferry and Clay Shaw, and those guys weren't involved in it. I mean, they may have known. They certainly were anti-Castro guys. That was one theory was the CIA wanted Kennedy dead because he didn't support the Bay of Pigs invasion, and the mafia wanted him dead because of his embargo of all things Cuban, and they had given up some hotels and resorts,
casinos, and all that stuff.
So I mean, there's a lot of people that wanted him dead, and I liken it back to when Abraham Lincoln, our first president, Abraham Lincoln, and our greatest president, President One, Abraham, right before Ben Franklin. Oh my gosh, Abraham Lincoln was from South Dakota. It's a little known fact. They claim Illinois, but he got there by way of the Canadian border in South Dakota. Abraham Lincoln was killed for being Abraham Lincoln. Half the country wanted that guy dead. James Wilkes Booth was a hero to a lot of people in the North and in the South. Yeah. So, that's kind of where we are. I've often wondered.
Jared McCrugan says a lone nut job can't get motorcycle cops and Secret Service normally back of the car out of the way.
Right. I've often wondered how the world would have been different had JFK lived. I think now stop. You can't do that. You just got to lay there. You can just lay there. You don't get to make decisions.
Yeah, you don't get to do anything.
Stop it, Elon. You do what we tell you. You don't make policy. I think Kennedy certainly would have achieved re-election, and had he done so, LBJ maybe would not have run 4 years later.
I don't know. LBJ may not have been his running mate.
True story. And which, by the way, may have been another reason that Kennedy was killed. No doubt. Bobby Kennedy hated LBJ, hated him, and vice versa. Famous story of LBJ taking Bobby Kennedy to a ranch in Texas, his ranch, and allowing Bobby Kennedy to shoot a rifle. And Kennedy, not knowing, being a Yankee of privilege, put his eye right up against the edge of the scope, and he needed 7 or 8 stitches. And LBJ just laughed at him.
Could have warned him.
He didn't. He just let him do it.
Didn't care about him.
Yeah, he didn't care. He
wanted him to lose an eye.
Thought it was great. Great stuff. We'll see what happens today with the president signing his executive order. He's clearly making Congress aware of his desire to get rid of the Department of Education. I think people panic. It's like people saying we're going to get rid of the Department of Education is like saying we no longer care about education. That's just not the case.
No.
Did we care about education before 1976?
And
did we get better results prior to 1976? The government is a bureaucracy. It's a bloated behemoth of wasted tax dollars. That's all they do is spend tax dollars. They don't make any money. They don't have bake sales.
There are some that will argue that the U.S. was much better educated prior to the DOE.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is Riker. Riker's just fabulously soft, and he retrieves pretty good too.
He does retrieve pretty good.
14 weeks, born December 7th. Top of the hour, folks.
We're going to get out of here.
We love
Appreciate
you
you joining us. Thank you. And we'll see you all mañana.
Hope you have a great day. Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.